Hello everyone, welcome back to Faithful to the Traitors. Alex, are you there? I've got a blindfold on my head.
Oh,
I've been taken to a strange room that smells.
give me the coordinate. Give me the clues to the coordinates.
I can hear chains and I can smell Paul's gin.
Oh, you're in his brewery again. You need to get out of there. You really do.
I'm tied up. Paul's left me and I don't know what to do.
I'm surprised you're not inebriated yet, to be honest with you, because I'm surprised Paul hasn't funneled that gin down your throat. We're in New Zealand again.
Yes,
Episode 7 of the New Zealand Traitors.
Lovely twisted mission this week, an original.
It is an original.
Before,
We've not done that before.
This.
I'm Alex, by the way. Hello, faithful. All you faithful out there. I'm Alex, and I am, of course, a faithful. Or am I?
Wow.
Oh, we're going to do that every episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The what are they call the filter
Traitor?
says otherwise.
The filter, yes, we've discussed the filter on. If anyone who listens to the Australian, our take on the Australian podcast, Traitors.
My back paddock.
I forgot you had that. Yeah, we ended the last episode with a twist. We knew a twist was coming. We came up with all kind of predictions, but little did we know it would be a game twist. There would be a game involved.
Still a murder.
There was still a murder, which I wasn't happy about either.
Socials first, actually, before we get into this episode.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Just because everyone can get in touch, because it seems to be working well.
Yes. Well, we have got people in touch. I've got some comments to read out at the end of the show, so keep listening to the end to see if your comment gets read out. But if you have any thoughts about the New Zealand Traitors, or indeed any of the traitors we're covering right now, or in the future, or in the past, get in touch with us on Twitter, now known as X, at Traitors Podcast. We're also on Instagram and Threads. Anyone who's not listened to the Australian one, I've been threatening to go on Threads for a long, long time. Now we're on Threads.
Yep, now we have a browser version. It's all going.
Now there's a browser version, I can do it. At Faithful to the Traitors. That's our Instagram and Threads link or way to find us. God, I sound old every day. Every day I sound more old when I start talking about...
You are legally blind.
Not quite yet. Don't need some glasses just yet. You can help. You can also get in touch with us. As an email, faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com. If you've got a lot to say, you've got a long form letter. You can even just say hello.
You could
like
write a
that.
whole thread on Threads if you've got lots to say. Seeing as it's called Threads.
As long as you tag us on it, we'll see it. We will see it. And thank you, by the way. I should say to everyone who's joined us on Threads and said hello. It's lovely. It's lovely to know that there's a community on there as well. They just need to get that search function sorted out, and then more people can find us.
Yeah.
But other people can find us by just word of mouth, or you can rethread or retweet, repost.
Very dull.
Just to let your friends know that we exist. But if you've got a little bit of change jangling around in your if you've got some silver bars in your pockets and you don't want to give
kidnapping.
Yep. From the ransom note, you can also buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/faithful.
Much appreciated.
A group of complete strangers from across New Zealand.
Now that's been commented.
Has it?
This week by Sam from New Zealand Traitors. Hello, Sam.
He knows us, apparently. 'Cause everyone in the Traitors knows everyone.
Everyone knows everyone. But Sam says that the reason why they have that at the beginning of the episode is because Paul knows no
Paul
one.
Henry.
Paul doesn't want to know anyone.
Oh, to him, it's 21 complete
to
strangers.
Paul, they're all complete strangers.
Even
to
at the
him.
end of filming, the same applies.
No love lost there.
Cameraman 1 and 2. Don't know their names.
Or you.
Gin
clicks
boy.
Fingers. Yep.
Yeah.
Bring
Well,
a tray over.
I noticed the 21 complete strangers from New Zealand this week showed its head again because Justine commented about Kings, about what he's like on the outside. So they also know each other. How did Justine and Kings know each other, I wonder?
Well, they were in a car together in this week. She looked like his mum. I thought it was a really funny moment when you saw her and Dan driving Kings to his appointment
In the back seat.
Yeah, he was like sat there. He looked like he was playing his colouring
Lego.
book. Yeah, and his Legos, and just having a great time.
Right. So yes, the twist opened this week with 3 people kidnapped, 1 person murdered. They didn't know who was murdered until they found the kidnapped.
Yes, Colin was jealous because he likes getting tied up, but never in a kidnapping situation.
No, wants to try that once.
He wants to give that a go. Put that on his bucket list
Well,
for
should
things
have had
to
a word
try.
with Paul, shouldn't he?
Well, I mean, I don't.
Like
Paul
me.
had no control. Well, exactly. You've been
Camp
force-fed.
Paul.
Camp Paul. He had. Well, the people who chose who was going to get kidnapped were obviously the two traitors. So it was Brooke and Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke volunteered himself to go forward as being kidnapped because he felt like that in that situation, in a very intense situation of kidnapping, he could convince the other two people who were going to be kidnapped with him to kind of sway their votes away from Dan.
And Dan could spend his time fluffing everyone around him.
Yeah, he can spend his time. But unfortunately, he was in a car where the people who he was in the car with already kind of trusted him anyway. So he kind of missed an opportunity there.
Also, Brooke didn't really have a chance to talk because they were playing a mission. So it was kind of a bit like, well, this strategy is pointless because there is no time.
Yeah, he was kidnapped.
Time sensitive.
He was kidnapped with Anna and Julia, and I must say that Julia was a waste of time. She just stood there. Nope, she just stood there the whole time and let Anna take control.
That's what she does. She
But
controls the room, points where they need to go,
But I
and
don't
folds
think
her
she
arm
did-
and observes.
I feel like she didn't control very much because her biggest observation was there was a 4-digit code on the door, and she said, "What do we use that for?" Oh, maybe it's a padlock.
Okay, I've got a theory
Really?
about this.
No, go on.
Right. The people trying to find the three kidnapped didn't know who had been murdered. They didn't know if it was Dylan, Julia, Brooke, or Anna, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were phone calls involved to all the people. Brooke spoke on the phone, Anna spoke on the phone, Julia didn't speak. I think the producers said one of you has to not speak so they don't know who's murdered by the time they get to you. Because if they heard Anna, Brooke, and Julia all speak, they would know that Dylan was murdered before they arrived.
Yeah, but if that's true, then the production crew are interfering. I don't like that in games like this.
So I
hate
think
when the
that's why
production crew start
I think
interfering.
that's why Julia stepped back, folded her arms, observed. and
It's a
didn't
slippery
speak.
slope. It's a slippery slope. Look at Big Brother 1. Pure, delicious, lovely to watch. It's an experiment. They call it an experiment.
Right.
Fast forward 2021, whenever the last Big Brother was in the UK. We've got another one coming now, but whenever the last one on Channel 5 was,
Much before
interfered. Every single minute detail was interfered by the producers. It became nothing. It was a shadow of the show.
Well, I've got my eye on Julia.
This is series 1 of the Traitors. I don't want any interference straight away.
I've got my eye on Julia. I think she is going to be one to watch from now on.
Nope.
She was doing stuff around the round
That's what I have to say
table
for
this
the matter.
episode. No, I do.
No.
I think she has clocked quite a bit. So I think she's one to watch in the next few
I'm
episodes.
desperately looking at my notes to see what Julia had said. And the only thing I have here is that she moved her vote to Dan because she felt like, and she felt like Brooke was leading conversations. So I suppose she is the first one to kind of spot Dan and Brooke.
I'm telling you, the next few episodes. How many episodes are left, actually? Not many. 3, isn't it?
I think there's 10 on this
Trust
series.
me. They're either going to murder her because she's a threat all of a sudden.
This is the penultimate week of Traitors New Zealand. The Southern Hemisphere have done a good job. May I just also add, I might as well do that as a sweeping statement for the show. The Southern Hemisphere, New Zealand and Australian traitors, despite them clashing their broadcast, which is a weird move, but they did it, both have been very good and in their own
different
way.
ways, yeah.
Exactly.
The
Both-
New Zealand one is very calm and collected and organised. Like the round tables aren't like shouty or
No.
bitchy or that. It's all very, let's sit down and talk. It's been like that since the beginning.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
But it's
been
worked
good
for
to
them as well,
watch.
if you think about it, because I think they've
got
been most
loads of
successful.
them,
They've gotten rid of
yes.
4 traitors.
Exactly. Half the cast are going to be traitors soon.
Yeah, half their friendship groups have been gone. So 4 traitors have gone. And I think that's probably the best success rate of any Traitors series ever. So maybe New Zealanders are onto something. Maybe we need to listen to these.
I mean, we did have one
Kiwis.
murder.
We
Sadly,
did. Oh my
Dylan.
goodness, we should talk about Dylan because
Very
Dylan
upsetting.
Dylan was actually a real MVP in the game as well. I really enjoyed watching Dylan and the way he kind of sleuthed things out. Not always correct, not always right. He made mistakes. I think he was really championing Philly at one point. He was open to his mistakes though. But I felt you're either growling or yawning at me.
I was
as say.
yawning, but I was trying to make it not on the thing, but now it's out to
No,
everyone.
you look like the cat. Like your teeth came out, and I was like a bit frightened. We haven't done a fact file on Dylan.
Well, we've got it up.
Yeah, but what about the
For
fact
Dylan.
file on Oh, okay, yes. Okay.
For Philly, you mentioned Philly and it's up. So, Dylan Reeves. Oh, this isn't my fact file, which we've been discussing the whole series.
Disclaimer.
This is the spinoff.co.nz. And guess what, guys? You couldn't even plan. You couldn't write this. You couldn't plan this. It starts off with one of us. Any fans of the spin-off may remember Dylan from our beloved website, The Spin-Off.
Oh, I see.
Dylan was a writer for the spin-off. The one that we've been making fun of this whole time. Well, I've been making fun of.
Oh, sorry, Dylan.
Well, he used to be.
Dylan's also a friend of the show, so I have to say, sorry, Dylan. Apologies.
In which he investigated everything from COVID conspiracies to school uniforms. Having since written an entire book on conspiracy theories, I plugged that earlier for Dylan and earlier in the series, and previously having worked with journalist David Ferreira on documentary Tickled. Ooh, what's that about?
About Mr. Tickles and the books.
Dylan should be able to sniff out a dodgy traitor a mile away. Or maybe, just maybe, he is perfectly primed to become one himself.
Well, he said that at his elimination as well, didn't he?
That's the writer from the spinoff.co.nz who we
Thank you again. Very
really
in-depth.
appreciate with their great
We do. Well, you appreciate enough that you keep using their source. Dylan said that when he got the letter to say he'd been murdered, he looked directly square at the camera as if they were listening, as if the traitors were listening to him, and he said, I would have loved to try to be a traitor.
Just asked.
You should have asked. I would have done it.
He's easy, says yes to anything.
Would you think he would have been a good traitor?
Yes. He was a good faithful and a good traitor.
He was a good he was a good faithful, but I don't think I think he would have, his personality would have been so obvious that when he became a traitor, it would have been difficult for him to kind of put it off. Would you stop?
What?
You're passing it on to me.
You're meant to hide it like I do.
I can't because
Well,
you're doing it so often.
You're the one who keeps talking about yawning. Anyway, I'm yawning about Dylan.
No, we'll miss Dylan big time. I do suspect there's more to this though. Just the way
What do you mean?
the way he was murdered, because he never saw who the traitors are. I don't know.
Do.
I know, but I just feel like there's more to it. No. I feel like I said to you, I reckon there's a secret traitor. I reckon.
Stupid. He's gone. He got the letter and he's murdered.
I
It was
think
just overshadowed by the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think right. Stick with me here. Mm-hmm. That they're so successful at getting rid of all the traitors that they're running out of people who the traitor. That they're running out of people they can recruit to be traitors.
Enough talking.
So what if it came to it that they had to recruit a traitor again because they're down to one, other than obviously this episode, so it happens another time, that they get the option to bring back one of the ghosts.
You can't bring back someone who's murdered because they're murdered.
Yeah, but I know.
You can't bring back a banished because they've said what they are.
I know, but at the same time, I don't know. There
Dylan
must be
is
a
dead.
way. I want Dylan back. Basically, I love Dylan so much, I just want to find a way.
It's because it was like
back.
a really afterthought murder because of the game.
That's what I
so
mean.
So it felt a bit upsetting.
It felt like it didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? It was like, because it was like you say, an afterthought. It felt like
I was a traitor. See you in hell.
I don't know. I feel
He's
a bit
dead.
depressed. I feel sad.
I know.
feel sad.
I'm
by it.
upset too. It's very upsetting, but
Okay.
he's dead. I mean, we do move on.
Well, they played the game. They
Lots of
succeeded.
phone calls.
They've made more money in their kitty.
Yep, $8,000.
So the total is 37,100 New Zealand dollars.
Still looks very little around the table, doesn't it? The bars.
That table's far
It's
too
not
big.
piling up.
It would look so much better on a smaller table. It would just look more grand.
I know, it's funny. Bless them. But anyway, so yeah, they did the mission. They saved everyone. They got the money. The people who saved them first out of the two teams got to do the shield.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dan-
who got the shield? It was
Dan
Dan,
got the
wasn't it?
shield.
Yes. Everyone, if a traitor gets a shield, they get eliminated.
I was about to say the same thing.
It's really
That
weird.
happened again. That happened last
Yeah.
episode as well. Yeah.
And it happened on a few of the other series. So I feel the shield is like a curse if you're a traitor.
Well, it's meant
And
to
it's
be an
like-
advantage.
It's
isn't
an
it?
advantage if you're faithful.
But again, I don't see how the advantage, because if you're a traitor, you've got the shield, so you know you can literally murder anyone. So then, if it within the group of people because if you don't tell anyone within that group who's got the shield, then technically you're all safe. But then one of those people actually do get murdered, and then you walk into the breakfast room and say, "I had the shield." Isn't that just an admission that you're the traitor? Because you've just said, I murdered someone who was meant to be safe because they were within the group of people who went to the armory.
That's why you don't murder someone who's in that group.
But the point of the traitor getting the shield is that they're safe. That they know who's not safe. So it gives them the option for anyone if they want to. So do you just not tell the group at the breakfast table? Do you just everyone keeps it secret to that point?
Yeah, because no one knew that Robbie had it until the next morning. They worked it out, didn't they? Because someone asked Dan if he had it. He was like, no. So,
but eventually they will find out. Surely they'll work it out if because everyone will start talking.
Well, the New Zealand lot are smart, so they might be able to do the maths.
Well, they didn't need to though, did they? At this round table.
No, but when it comes to it, they may need to. But
the group was divided down the middle. It was very much a split between Vanda and Dan.
Poor Vanda.
I know.
She's always getting picked on.
Well,
She sits there innocently, playing along. Because she's not a celebrity, she gets picked.
Well, I felt like she was for some really cruel reasons as well. Like, at one point, I think King said that he, like, just was a bit... like, he was sick of her crying and showing her emotions.
Yeah, her crocodile tears.
Yeah, her crocodile tears. And I thought, that's a bit cruel, King.
And Justine was like, oh, yeah, she's quiet, so she's strict. It's like, not all of us are outgoing celebrities.
Who said that?
Zealand.
Justine?
Yeah, Justine said it, because she was suspicious of Vanda too.
I love Justine and her little headscarf.
I love Justine too. I like all of them.
I do too. To be fair, there's not one bad egg in the New Zealand series of the Traitors. They're also like every single time they're on like one of them gets banished or murdered. I'm always a bit like, oh.
And it was amazing as well seeing Dan and Brooke, because they're like the only pair of traitors ever who haven't backstabbed each other. Like, they were loyal. Like Brooke tried his best, even at the round table at the last minute, to keep everything off Dan.
That's true. Brooke was talking when they were having their conversations. Brooke was kind of deliberately trying to push. Like I said, even Julia kind of spotted that Brooke was deliberately leading conversations away from Dan and was trying to push the Vanda.
That was nice to see for once, like two traitors actually in it together.
But they're friends on the outside. They're not strangers, Ben.
Exactly.
They play poker together, so they know how to... Do you reckon if they had gone all the way that Brooke and Dan would have split it? Or do you think eventually there would have been some kind of split there?
I think they would have split it. I believe in their power friendship. Like the Power Ranger Dan is.
Yes, he used to... Can you imagine if he got one of those gold
An
silver
esteemed
bars?
actor and poker player.
Yes.
How he described himself.
He did. Everyone was quite surprised when they heard him say he was an actor. So
and a poker player. I thought everyone knew.
I thought they all knew.
Everyone know each other. How do they not know that?
Well, I thought Brooke kind of brought it up as well, that he'd played poker with Dan in the past, and so he knew the kind of poker faces Dan could make. But if you think about it, Brooke...
That's what happens when they're all 21 strangers from New Zealand, you see.
Changes the ball. When Brooke wasn't a traitor, he was on to Dan, so it must have been quite... But
he never said anything.
Yeah, he did. I think he said it to a couple of people. But I don't know. I'm always wrong. I think I see things that I want to see on the show. But
it's nice to see some loyalty between the
it was
the sexist men.
And we'll get to that. But
just sexist men. I've just realised who they replaced with.
There was a woman in the mix, though. To be fair. Well,
token
yes.
Woman.
Token, yeah,
not that she's part of the problem. Don't even think of her.
I have to say that at the beginning of each series, we always kind of predict who we think will win. And unfortunately, my prediction's gone now. I genuinely thought Dan was going to go all the way and win. Oh. Dan was my prediction to win the game.
I had one prediction on episode 1.
And they went out.
So I had to re-predict. But we were going to predict from episode 2 onwards, so my first one didn't count.
I had strong feelings about Dan.
But mine's still there.
Oh.
Don't try and guess.
No, I'm not going to ask.
I saw you then. Your mind ticking.
But no, my way of guessing is basically reading out names and then just seeing what reaction.
Well, definitely not a woman, trust me, because I know these New Zealand
now Dan's gone, my new prediction
is a woman.
Don't
say it.
Oh no, it's 2 people though.
You can't have 2.
I can have 2. 2 people can win. 3 people won the UK version.
All right, spoilers.
Yeah, put that in the pipe and smoke it. I'm not spoiling it at all. You said the winner of Series Australia last podcast. Goodness sake. But
anyway, my prediction's still in from episode 2, so that's fun to know. But yeah, I mean, what were the votes in the end then? Because it's between Vanda and Dan. Yeah. Dan didn't do a great job at convincing people. Brooke tried to point in different directions. Vanda put up a bit of a fight. Not the best fight, but she put up a Vanda fight.
Vanda's a good fighter. She is a good fighter. She's had to fight before. Can I also just quickly bring up that one of the reasons this is such a nice reason to almost like not to vote someone on the show, is that one of the reasons they didn't want to vote Dan out was because they wanted someone who would be strong at the games.
A man.
Well, no, not necessarily that. They said he was smart and he could physically play the games.
That
he
was
good
Brooke
at the games.
saying that.
It's an interesting thing to bring up, though. Is to keep better players of the games important too,
even if you know they're a traitor,
despite you thinking they're a traitor, because you still want to build up the pot.
And especially when the pot's so limited on a budget, you need every bar you can get.
Yeah.
Before Paul drinks it away.
I feel like it's not so important on series is where they basically they pretend that you're kind of building it. Like each game is pointless. You might as well just give them the prize money at the end, which they've done on a couple of series. We haven't seen the end of this yet. But that's what I'm saying. On the New Zealand series, I feel it in my bone. I can feel it in my waters that I don't think they're going to do that on the New Zealand series.
Paul Henry's going to say no.
Yeah.
If you don't get it, it's mine.
Right. He's probably got in his contract. That whatever money that doesn't get won by the contestants will go back toward him and his wine budget. So in a way, that's quite important that you keep people who are better at the games in the game.
The games are so random; it could be anything. Like this wasn't exactly a physical one this week, was it?
No, but Dan's quite smart as well. He's got the brains. He's got the looks. Let's make lots of money.
Yeah, well, they got rid of Dylan. He was smart as well, and they didn't think about that. The traitors.
That was the traitors, though, not the whole team. That's what I'm saying. The whole team, as a collective, they were debating whether they should vote Dan because, and it was literally shown on screen whether they should vote Dan or not, based on the fact that he's one of the best people to play the games with because he's making the most money. I mean, you could also argue
Julia. So
and I was going to say you could also argue keep Sam because Sam's the only one who can.
Even on this one, he was the one reading the map.
Yeah, Sam's smart.
You are legally blind.
He was reading the map.
You are legally blind.
Can anyone explain this?
Well,
you are legally
blind.
Okay. He was reading the map in the back
yes, I get
on
it.
his own in a dark back of the car.
The car wasn't dark. It was well lit.
Well, if you're legally blind, it is.
Can we do a shootout? Christ. Can we do a shout out for Zugga Ballantyne? The blue bear.
Oh, I'm thinking he's toy.
Sam's toy bear.
Some of the questions are very odd. One of them was like, how many centimetres tall is Colin? It's like,
Colin knew.
What if he got it slightly wrong? Because he was like 162 or 1. It was like, well, which one? Because it could ruin the whole thing if you got it 1 centimetre out.
Tell me straight away, what's your height in centimetres?
I don't know.
Exactly. No one does.
That's why it's odd.
I know in feet.
And what if he told the producers one thing, but he thought something else, and he just said the wrong thing? It could have ruined the whole game.
I mean, it depends how small the grid squares are. What they should have done...
Well, no, because it was his answer, take away 2.
No, see, they lost a sponsorship plan here. What 3 words? They should have asked them 3 clues that gave them the answers to 3 words and used what 3 words, and they could just they could have literally shown screenshots of them using what 3 words. Extra money in their prize pot, extra money for Channel 3 in New Zealand.
Can't wait to visit that shed on my visit to New Zealand.
To be tied up and locked in.
Yeah.
I like their payphone as well.
Takes traitor coins.
Traitor coins.
So that's what they should have on the table. Coins. There'd be millions of them all piled up like Scrooge McDuck. That would look much better.
What's that game show, Impossible? When if you win the £10,000, there's that big machine in the background and it goes junga 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 and it spits out all the coins.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a game show in the UK. Again, referencing the UK.
But coins would look much more impressive on Paul's table than the silver bars.
Bottles of gin?
So that's what he should have.
He should have bottles of gin.
A lipped table with a pile of silver coins.
Like the Squid Games. He should have a big Perspex piggy bank.
Yes.
And basically this tube comes down and it starts going gunga 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 and loads of coins start coming out.
You like that sound effect?
I do. Well, you played Legally Blind 3 times. I thought I could do that a couple
was
of
needed.
times. Well, so was mine.
Enough talking.
Okay, sorry. Sorry,
It's
Paul.
so funny when Paul came and just stopped Dan. He was like, nope, you're about to talk your way out of this. Producers, we want Dan gone now.
Yeah.
What were the final votes?
Oh, sorry, the final vote, which the question you asked 10 minutes ago. The final votes was Vanda 4, Dan 5. Interesting notes to bring up. Kings voted for Vanda, but then said he screwed up. I got a weird feeling I screwed up, quote unquote.
Sounds like a traitor.
And well, that's what I thought, you see. And Julia had the deciding vote. She was the one who had the basically
and
final
who did she
nail.
go for?
Dan.
Well, there you go. See, I told you she's one to watch.
Brooke, Dan, Kings, and I forget who the fourth person was.
Justine, maybe?
I think you might be right there. Justine all voted for Vanda, and so now there's a general consensus in the group that it's the same old chestnut, that because they voted away from Dan, that they could potentially all be traitors.
And Brooke said something very odd when he was doing before he revealed he voted Vanda. It's because he was like, he said a really weird thing, which sounded like he was voting for Dan, but voted for Vanda. But the way he said it was really like backwards.
Funny you should mention that because I wrote it down. He said, it's better the devil you know.
Yeah,
so
but
I
then
think
didn't vote for him.
Well, it's his way of basically saying that you keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. So I think it was his way of saying that he's voted for Vanda, but he's got his eye on Dan. He was just being a bit more Shakespearean with it. He was being a bit poetic. So I think Brooke was covering his back. So you saying Brooke was Dan's best friend and he was looking after him. I think with that speech, he was covering his back.
Still didn't vote for him though, so
group.
even at the end.
But he implied that he had something on Dan.
Yeah,
So
but
there's an implication there.
even at the end, he was quite loyal. But it left one traitor.
Yeah, the
In the
lonely
end.
one. The loneliest number of them all.
We got one! We got a traitor!
That's right, Sam. All right. Go play with Zugga Ballantyne.
And when there's one traitor, you don't get the option. It's blackmail, which Paul knocked.
That sounds dark.
I'm using Paul's words.
You're right.
Paul knocked on the door again. Another late night for Paul.
I like Paul's intrusions. It's so funny that last week I said, like, I kind of missed that in the other versions of the Traitors, that the presenter doesn't go in and speak to the traitors. Literally every episode since.
Paul's been there.
Paul and the Australian version, the presenter's been
Roger.
there. Roger, we love you, Roger.
Yeah. So, he came knocking, and it was basically you pick someone to be a traitor. If they don't accept, they are then murdered.
Yes.
So basically, they don't really have a choice.
Which I think is a bit cruel. But at the same time, the whole game's
It makes
cruel.
sense. When there's one traitor left, there has to be more than one, because if they then vote off Brooke the next episode, then that would cause
Well, the game
issues.
ends.
Exactly.
The game ends. They've won.
So yeah, Colin
Can you
was
imagine
the
if
one.
they kept them going? Like they got rid of all the traitors, and the production crew was like, "Well, we've got another 2 weeks to fill here." I just let them all think there's a traitor in the midst.
That'd be fun if there was no traitor, but they
I'd
think
like
there's
that.
a traitor.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
That would be fun
Because they have to physically end the game. So imagine they just carried on and on and on and on, thinking there's a traitor in the game. I'd love to
the
watch
last
that.
one's Vanda, just at the end.
Vanda will win.
So he chose Colin. He changed his mind last minute, didn't he? Because he said he was going to write a name down.
Justine. He was
Yes.
going to go with Justine. So she
And
wasn't
then he
a
was
token.
like, no. He was like, oh wait, no, that's a woman. And then he wrote down Colin's name. He got a bit confused there.
It was between three, though. It was between Colin, Justine, and Kings.
I thought he was going to go for Kings.
I thought he was going to go for Kings, actually. I must admit.
He
I thought
wanted to have
Kings
a
was
bit
the
of fun, didn't he? Has he chosen Colin to throw him under the bus?
I think Colin's a bit too smart for that. So
Or
again,
will Colin
I think,
throw Brooke under the bus?
I think Brooke may have made a mistake choosing Colin.
Yes,
I
untrustworthy.
really do. And Colin, it was funny when Colin got the invitation because
Lovely pair of boots this week.
very fine boots.
Mm-hmm.
When Brooke kind of explained to him the situation he was in, so it was either you join or you die. Colin just said, "Of course I'm going to join. What kind of silly question
Mm.
is that?" So Colin was clearly very pleased with that outcome.
I think he'll be able to do it quite well because he was.
so do I.
People were suspicious of him to begin with. But I don't think they are now. So it's quite a good time for him to go.
He's played a very good faithful.
And now there's two of them. They're also choosing someone to murder as well.
Yeah.
So they're not going to know that they've recruited. For
That's
the first
plan,
time.
see? So that's nice to know
So
as well.
their numbers are going to all be a bit confused now, which is good. This helps.
100% agree. This is the first time I feel like that the group have no idea how many traitors there are. And again, that's kind of worked against the fact that they've been able to banish 4 traitors from the show. They don't know how much recruitment's been happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, normally they can tell because they'll count the plates and they're like, oh, no one's been murdered, someone's been recruited. But this way, they're not going to be able to do that because there's still a murder.
Yeah,
Which is interesting.
There was no clues whatsoever of who the murder would be.
Julia.
I thought Vanda. I did. I thought they might go for Vanda.
Well, it's got to be one of the women.
Well, of course.
So, yeah.
It wouldn't be... I don't think it would be Justine because he was eyeing her up to be a traitor. I don't think it would be Sam. Because
any of them.
Sam's
I want
just
any
too
of them.
great.
I want it to be Kings because he's a male. No, I think Kings.
Kings, I think, might be a possibility.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
But I like it. Everyone else has a bit more yet to give, I feel. Kings doesn't.
I just think that Kings also is... I don't know. He's neither friend nor foe to them.
He's easily mouldable, so they might keep him for that, though.
I don't think he is that mouldable, though, because Kings at one point was voting completely randomly with Philly, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
And then when Philly left, he then started trying to integrate himself into the group a little bit more. I think you've got a strong bet there with Kings. Kings or Vanda is my guessing. Kings or
Mine's
Vanda.
Julia, but hopefully Kings.
I love Julia. I love you, Julia. Absolutely, 100%. But I don't think.
Enough talking.
I don't think Julia's game plan is as strong as you think it is.
I think it is, and she hasn't been given a good enough edit yet. But if she's not murdered, then I am.
Have you done Julia's not VT, fact file?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Okay.
We have to wait.
Well, there you go.
We
We've
might
got
get-
time. There's time still for Julia's fact file.
Right, okay. Right. So that comes to the end then because we are running over time, believe it or not. So yeah, we think either Kings or Julia. You think Vanda or Kings murder.
Yep. Kings is the common denominator in our guesses. So if we're right, kudos to us. Quickly then, if any of you guys have any guesses of what's going to be happening. Oh, actually, I do. My goodness, I forgot
There's
we
a
had
comment.
got a
isn't
comment.
there?
Goodness
You
me.
trailed this at the beginning.
I did, and then completely forgot we had one.
You are legally blind.
I am. It's from jamie.f.vet. Or no,
On
vet.
what?
On Instagram.
Oh.
And they have written, my predictions for the next episode. Brooke and Colin kill Justin. Colin has a slip up straight away, and Sam, Brooke, and Kings get suspicious. Everyone else, however, are still set on Vanda being the traitor, so Brooke and Sam decide to follow the crowd, and they all vote Vanda out. Vanda declares her innocence, and everyone is super sad, especially Sam.
Sam's always sad.
I think
and
if Van,
stressed.
I'm doing an edit right now of the reasons why Sam's having such a hard time on the New Zealand Traitors. It's like, because he's constantly got his head in his hands. He's constantly looking frightened and panicked. I love
Also,
him.
He thinks Justine's being killed off then.
I think if Sam, if Sam wins the series of the Traitors, all the money will go to therapy, for like trying to get over this trauma. But yes, no, I mean, if Vanda doesn't get killed,
murdered,
then I think the likelihood is Vanda is out. It's just
Vanda.
It's just like they say. I think that Sam's going to take some convincing.
Well, we'll find out very soon.
But yes, thank
then.
you for
So
your comments.
You can get in touch with us on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, email, all of it.
Okay, well, would you like me to read them out?
Yep, go.
Twitter and or X at Traitors Podcast, Instagram and or Threads at Faithful to the Traitors. Send us an email, faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com. You can buy us a coffee, buy me a coffee. buymeacoffee.com/faithful. That's £5 toward a nice silver bar for our table.
Now, you see, this is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
And don't forget, you can share us with your friends. That costs you nothing. Absolutely bugger all.
Maybe your dignity.
Yes, apart from your pride. Just tell your friends all about us. Tell them about our podcast. Tell them about our social media channels. And if you fancy it, go to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, and give us a comment why you think we're 5 stars.
You can also comment on Spotify if you listen on Spotify as well. So
Yep.
there's no excuses anymore.
Nope.
And we're doing this live, so as you watch it on TV, you can also comment to us as well. So there you go. That's another episode of Faithful to the Traitors New Zealand finished.